Hello, once again. I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. And back with me again this week are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-hosts on the net, and I'm excited for tonight's topic. We do this every year, except maybe the past two. We are talking about our most anticipated horror films of 2022. We're recording this in early January, so there's only these are the films that we know of at this time, and of course their dates could shift at any time, literally as we're talking to 2023. But let's be optimistic, and these are the ones that are on our list. So let me introduce the crew, starting off with award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I think in the horror movie world of COVID, it's nice that we can anticipate and look forward to stuff. Because I think that's one of the reasons we haven't really been able to anticipate anything, because everything keeps getting pulled.
It does.
So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
It started looking good in the fall, but then something else happened.
As long as it's not a zombie apocalypse, I'm good.
I feel like we're heading that direction, don't it?
We might be.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let's introduce our guest host. We are very happy to welcome Brian Brian W. Smith. Excuse me. I don't know where the K come from. He's also a film committee member of the New York City Horror Film Fest, a very busy guy, but he's here joining us, and we can't be happier. Brian, how you doing?
I'm good. Happy New Year, and good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I am very happy to have you here, sir. Just to let you know.
Brian is a cool dude.
I
met him when I went to New York City Horror Film Festival, and I run into him every once in a while at other film festivals. So it's he's a really talented, cool dude, and I'm glad that we can have him part of this. And hopefully, with this current realm that we live in, hopefully I'll be able to see him in person at some point.
We can make it
again.
I know. In the fall, right?
I hope, but let's be optimistic about it.
Yeah, because the New York City Film Festival's in late November?
We just announced our dates are going to be first weekend December.
Nice. And that's your 20th.
I believe so. 20 and counting, 20 and change.
Wow,
so,
nice.
We just reopened for submissions, so horror scripts and films, send them in. We don't sleep, so.
My face may show up in something at some point.
Oh, nice.
I hope so. We always look
as an alumnus of that wonderful festival. I'm hoping
for repeat horror offenders, and
I'm hoping our anthology horror film can be done in enough time.
Me too. I hope so too.
Nice.
Yeah. So. And of course, Brian, you worked with Santos Allen Jr., the Black Saint, and the festival as well, and we miss him so much.
He still just feels like a part of our crew and the festival, in spirit. I mean, whenever we see films that we know he would have liked,
yes.
It's very easy to just sort of say, for Santos, let's program this film, or he's definitely missed.
Yeah, there were definitely certain elements of a film he liked, and we recognize those all the time. We miss him so much. But let's look at this. So we got our year 2022. We hope you enjoy our countdowns. We'll each go through our top 10s, and then we'll discuss what our top 10s are, and then we'll might throw out some honorable mentions and some little discussion before we wrap things up. Of course, we hope you enjoy this, and we want to let us know if you like these kind of episodes, podcasts, where we do countdowns or top 10s or looking at the future. So let us know what you think. And of course, if you would share, hit the like button, subscribe, it'll do wonders for us. And leave some comments down below. Right. All right. Let's get into this. Christopher, why don't you lead the way tonight and let us know what your top 10 most anticipated horror films for 2022 are.
Okay. Well, at number 10, Insidious 5.
Oh, nice.
I'm actually a huge fan of the Insidious films, but I'm kind of interested in what they do with this one, because this is supposedly almost going to be almost like Insidious 3, because it's supposed to follow the family from the first two films more. And it's going to be directed by Patrick Wilson, who also
excited about that.
stars in it. So I'm kind of interested to see what he brings to it, considering he's always been James Wan's lucky charm in a lot of James Wan's films, and so
He certainly has.
I'd love to see what he can bring from behind the camera, and it's also somebody who's a part of that franchise. So yeah, I've always loved the franchise, so I'm kind of interested to see what they can do with that. So that's my number 10. Number 9. As much as I had issues with the second film, I'm actually interested to see what happens when Halloween ends. Because I think the ending of Halloween Kills, I'm interested to see where it goes from there. I want to see what happens when the final girl finds out, someone died, and she's going to go after him full tilt. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do with that. As much as I had problems with certain elements of it, hopefully Evil Dies Tonight will not be part of the dialogue of this third film.
Evil
Otherwise,
ends tonight.
I will pull hair out if that happens. But a lot of those characters ended up getting killed in the second thing. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see where it goes from there. I don't know. I kind of like the way it ends, and I think that the third one, I think one of the missing elements is taking Laurie Strode out of the fight. To me, the trilogy should have been about her fighting, and they kind of made it almost like a Empire Strikes Back movie of the three, and I don't like it. I think it kind of sucks the air out of it, because I think the first one I liked so much because of her battling, being that sort of like, Ash to their, to the demons or whatever. So I don't know. So I guess we'll see what happens, but I'm still holding hope that they'll be able to pull the horses around and do something cool in the third one. Number 8 is Prey, the Predator movie. I'm kind of interested to see what they do with that. I think with it being more of a period piece, with it being back with Native American tribe, and I think that's going to bring something more interesting to it, and doing some kind of like what they've done, kind of like more futuristic spins. And the Predator was kind of like had its good parts and bad parts, but still wasn't what it needed. So Prey, I'm kind of like interested to see what they do with that. 7 would be Salem's Lot. Other than the casting, I'm not really sure what they can do with it, but I think there's a lot of right material that can be told well. So I think I mean, I don't know. At the same time, there's certain elements of the Salem's Lot story that it still creep me out in this series. So yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see, although it could also end up like the Pet Sematary remake, which wasn't as big a fan about. So I don't know. I'll give it a benefit of the doubt. Number 6, Dark Harvest, which is based on the horror novel, and I'm kind of interested to see with them. I mean, just knowing the story behind that from the novel, I'm kind of interested to see what they can do with that material, because it's such an interesting concept, about this yearly thing where this crazy pumpkin head killer or whatever comes out, and all of them have to come together to fight it. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see how they can translate that to the big screen. Number 5 is the Hellraiser movie, and I think, considering I had really hated that last Hellraiser movie, I think this one I'm more interested in, mainly because David Bruckner is directing it.
Yes.
And Night House was one in my top 10 films of 2021, and he did such a great job with The Ritual. And I think if anybody could sort of like, take the Hellraiser story and bring back the scary elements and make it interesting again, I think he has the ability to do that. So we'll see how that turns out. Number 4, Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Yeah, I think I'm always interested to see. God, I could forget his name. What's the director's name?
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. I had a brain fart there. As much as I I loved Us, and there was elements that were kind of weird. He always has really interesting concepts, and I think when you have fresh voices that come into the space and they can tell their specific stories, I'm always interested to see what cool new concept that he has that is not only cool, but it also pays homage to other films as well. So with Nope, there's not a lot of information about what it's about. But even just the title makes you, it seems like something out of a horror film. Like, nope, not going down in that basement, that type of thing. So Jordan Peele, I'm interested to see what he can bring to the big screen with that film, because I'm sure it'll be another really cool, interesting concept that'll have, a balance of horror elements, maybe a little humor tossed in as well. Number 3, even though we're getting close to its release, Scream. I'm definitely anticipating to see Scream, which I've got tickets for to see it this week. So I don't know when this will be released, but I think with the people behind Ready or Not making it, which I loved Ready or Not.
Yes.
And so I think that they have that right balance with telling, a horror story that may even have a little bit of humor in it. Because I don't know to what level humor will be part of this new Scream film, but I'm interested to see what they do with it. I love the Scream franchise. I'm kind of sad that we don't have Wes Craven around, but hopefully these guys will be able to carry the torch and tell, a new story in that universe. Number 2 is The Black Phone. Such an interesting concept. We get Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill returning, coming back together to sort of adapt this story from Joe Hill. And I don't know, it's such an interesting, cool, I don't know if cool is the right word because it's such a dark concept, but it's such an interesting concept that I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out story-wise. And I think we have, the interesting production design and the masks and stuff, which look really cool. The idea of like ghost kids. You can definitely feel, oh, I wonder who Joe Hill's dad is. So he's definitely a rotten apple off his dad's tree. And I think if you know anything about me and my love of certain things, Evil Dead Rise is my top film. I am a huge Evil Dead fan. If you've seen any of my films, there's a lot of them have, even my new anthology segment for the Travel Horror Anthology, there's a thing that has S. Raimi, or has Sam.R, which is Sam Raimi. So Backward Creep has a couple of shots I stole from Evil Dead. So this is not directed by Sam Raimi, but he's producing it. But the concept seems kind of interesting. And with a lot of these films, it's just a group of friends and there might be like one person who's related, but this is like a family and they get possessed. So what would you do if like your daughter or your mom got possessed? What would you do? So that's such an interesting, more intriguing concept. And because it takes place in a building, I'm really interested to see more Evil Dead type stories, So Evil Dead Rise, I'm actually kind of excited about it. I know it doesn't have Ash anymore, but I think as long as you have somebody who has a love for that franchise and brings his own sort of stories to it, even though I never get a call to direct this, Sam, any day. But if you've been following the director, he's been posting pictures and he had like these white shoes that he like after every shoot, he'd get more blood splattered on it. So by the end of it, he had all this blood on his shoes. And I was like, man, I'm going to steal that on my next film if I have a lot of blood on set. So anyway, Evil Dead Rise is my top movie that I'm so anticipating just because of a huge lover of the franchise in general and see what new they can bring to it that sort of continues that the stories in that universe.
I hear you. That's a great list. I wasn't sure Insidious Dark Realm was making it this year, so
it
may
get
it.
I
overlooked it, but I'm excited about that because I'm also a fan. Most of the rest look very familiar to me. Hellraiser, of course, is going to Hulu. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And I think Prey is too.
Prey is going to Hulu, and Hellraiser is going somewhere else. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of them. But yeah, it's going straight to streaming, but there's a lot of great streaming content as well, and it feels like some streaming is first run, right?
Is Evil Dead, isn't that going to HBO?
HBO Max, yes. Yeah.
So that'll be the first Evil Dead film I haven't seen on the big screen.
Might get us at the Alamo. You never know.
I'll go see it. If they show it in the theater, I will go see it in the theater.
There you go. Brian, any comments?
I was just thinking maybe they'll do like a retrospective of all the Evil Deads and then leading up to the new one.
Ooh.
Oh, don't do that. Because I will be there every
drink
show.
specials and snack specials or something.
There you go. And the TV show. All right, Brian, are you ready, sir, to do
Yeah.
your top 10?
And again, as we know, with the state of the world, many of these release dates may change, subject to change. But here's what we know so far. But a couple of my top 10 and 9 are sort of TBD, but hopefully we'll see them this year. So my number 10 is Firestarter.
Yes.
Kind of curious about that one. I'm of course a big fan of the Drew Barrymore original. I grew up on it. We're in the same age range, so it was a very touching film that I grew up on, and I love mind powers and telekinesis, all that sort of shit when I was a kid. And of course, the Tangerine Dream score is basically the movie.
Nice. Yes.
But I'm older now, and the book was pretty good, and I'm thinking it'd be interesting to see what they do with it, with a modern take or contemporary take, whatever. I'm not like sort of a diehard fan where it's sacred material. I'd be interested to see what they do, if they update the effects or tell a good story. It was interesting because I saw, when I first saw Rian Johnson's Looper, I didn't know that there was like telekinesis in that film. I thought the way that they depicted in that film, I thought it'd be cool to see an update of Firestarter in that realm, in that way. So it's not Rian Johnson doing this, but I in the back of my mind, I was thinking, it'd be kind of cool to see an updated version of that story with today's effects. So kind of cool to see. Zac Efron is in it, playing, I guess, the dad. We'll see. The jury's out on that. We'll see. But he's a good actor. Whatever. But yeah, so Firestarter is number 10. Excuse me. Terrifier 2 is my number 9. I'm curious to see if it, first of all, if it gets released, because we've been hearing a lot about it. I know Damien Leone's been working on it. And I've been tracking the film ever since the short. I saw the short film at Big Apple Film Festival, like a midnight screening many years ago. And it was probably one of the first like sort of throwback shorts that I'd ever seen in the horror realm. I could be wrong, but it was just the style of it and the clown, and it's very decidedly un-PC and very hardcore, and not for every taste. And that flash forward to the original film, which I saw here in New York and at Lincoln Center. They had a big screening there, and yeah, people were affected. They walked out. It's again not for every taste, and that seems to be the wheelhouse that Damien's playing in, with the effects and the sort of gore. And again, he's not trying to please everyone and that sort of thing. It'd be interesting to see. I hear this second one is supposed to be even bigger and bloodier, and I know a lot of people within the horror community who are sort of in it. They can't really talk about how they're in it, but kind of curious to see what they do with that. So Terrifier 2 is number 9. I put number 8, The Black Phone. This is based off the trailer alone, and the creative team, of course, behind it is very intriguing and interesting. And it's true. You mentioned Joe Hill and that Stephen King connection. I immediately thought this is definitely a Stephen King offshoot type of story, or influence type story. So it does make sense that it would be from Joe. It just looks interesting. Not necessarily, I'll wait for it to either come to streaming, or if I'm bored one night, I'll check it out in the theater, but it's on my list anyway. I put number 7, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2022. I guess it's coming to Netflix. We think.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So I saw some of the like stills, and I guess people were joking that it kind of looked like West Side Story meets Texas Chainsaw. I don't know, it's Chainsaw Musical or whatever.
Nice.
Which was it would be an interesting concept, actually. But it's Texas Chainsaw, it's Leatherface. Sure, I'll press play. If it's on Netflix, I'll just press play and watch it. So it's on my list. Number 6 is Morbius. I'm a big vampire fan in general. I'm not familiar too much with the comic, but I know he's a vampire, and I do like that they're leaning into the vicious looking effects and
Yes.
I feel like it's been a while since we've had that, and maybe this will usher in more darker vampire fiction, vampire films. I feel like we haven't seen that in a while. A lot of films are pretending, or we're not vampires, or we don't have fangs, or whatever. No, I'm like, give me fangs, give me bat-like features, give me all that stuff. So, Morbius, I'll just add that to my list. Number 5, Jurassic World Dominion. Yeah, I mean, I don't love the Jurassic World films, but I like the dinosaur. I like the franchise, and I like the dinosaur action, so I will go see it. And if it's if anything, if it's an indicator of the little teaser that we got about a month ago online from the director, I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious to see what they do, particularly how the last one ended, where I guess we're all in trouble on planet Earth with dinosaurs running around. So, Jurassic World Dominion. My number 4 is Halloween Ends. Let's hope it ends, but I honestly don't know where they're going to go with this. A little shade. I don't think they know either. Look, Halloween Kills. It lived up to its title. It's plenty of kills and all that sort of stuff, and it's gory. I'm a purist Halloween fan. I don't necessarily go to a Halloween film for bloody kills. That's more of a Jason, Friday the 13th type of thing. I know they have to sort of, move with the times, but I just felt like it was a bit overkill. Yeah, they were fun. The effects were great. They'll probably win awards for the effects and how effective they were, but I just feel like you could really raise the stakes if your characters aren't all dumb, and all the characters were just stupid, and that was my problem with it. Halloween Ends. I'm just curious to see where it goes, really. So that's why it's on my list. I have no faith that it will end, but I have absolutely no faith it will end. They're making too much money. Number 3, Salem's Lot, and this is sort of in the same vein of Firestarter and basically any of the Stephen King adaptations that are coming up. Salem's Lot. It's from the It crew, and we know how vicious they can be towards their characters, particularly the young characters. And I think if Santos were here, he would be eagerly anticipating this. I think they're going to go full tilt with It type intensity and horror. As you know, Stephen King is pretty ruthless with his characters, his small town characters of all ages. So I'm hoping they lean into that. The Tobe Hooper film, of course, is a classic, TV film, and it was very intense and still very effective. The book itself is pretty good, but it's different than how they adapted it in the Tobe Hooper film. So I'm interested to see if they combine elements of either the book and the original film that we all know, or if they go into a totally different style just for the cinematic quality of it. But I have no doubt it's from the writer of the It films and the team behind it. So they're gonna go. I'm hoping they go full vampire on this, because I feel like we haven't really had that in a while. Maybe not since 30 Days of Night, perhaps. Everything else has been sort of dancing around the idea of being a vampire, or maybe not having fangs or sparkly, that sort of thing. I'm like, go full out, eat some children and dogs and stuff. Let's see what happens.
Al Santos of you.
My number 2 is Nope.
Nope.
And I'm like cursing the day that title came out, because that's like kind of my catchphrase when something is that scary, and it's I commend Jordan Peele for picking up on that and using that, because that's it's a typical term that you'd use in a movie theater when something is that effective, and you're like, nope, not going down there, and it's exactly what he capitalized on. So we don't know what it's about yet, but the title is intriguing. The poster is intriguing. It has a very old school, beautiful blue look to it. It looks like a small town. Something might be affected. I don't know, but he's got a good cast, and it's Jordan Peele, and I'm eager to see what the trailer is going to. We know the teaser, if anything, is going to be catchy, and people are going to look at all the signs and the hidden meetings and stuff. So that's going to be interesting.
Yep.
So Nope is my number 2. And anyone who knows me, anyone who's watching this, number one, it better play this week. Scream. I'm counting down the days. I'm a big Scream fan, fanatic, I should say. Mostly 1 and 2. 3 and 4 are movies. They have
They're movies.
but 1 and 2 are my faves. I do love the legacy characters. I love seeing them back. But not since Scream 2. Scream 2, I remember reading. A friend of mine got me. This was back in the 90s when it was rare to get like a screenplay, and he somehow found a copy of the Scream 2 script. So I was one of those people that actually read the early leaked script or whatever.
Nice.
Tore right through it. That was like my Harry Potter back then. I just tore right through it. Had to see everything, and a lot of scenes in the script were in the film, the car scene and all that sort of stuff, and it was great on the page. So, but this is the first time I'm going in completely fresh. I'm avoiding all spoilers. I'm limiting my internet this week. I'm avoiding comment sections, all that sort of stuff. And Twitter, I basically logged out of. I'm logged out until next week.
There you go. Smart move.
I do not want to see cutesy little headlines from movie sites out there that can you believe this happened? Things like that where they just want to spoil it and that sort of thing. I'm just going completely fresh and I don't want to say blind because I want to see the movie. But I'm praying for our legacy characters. I don't know really what's gonna happen. So I'm going in completely fresh. And I did kind of sneak preview the soundtrack. The soundtrack is out. It's on.
Nice.
There's some tracks on YouTube. Thankfully. And big ups to the. Did I just say big ups in 2022? Anyway, I have to commend the marketing team at Paramount, and they're just really keeping in line with the Scream marketing. There's the old saying that all horror. You look at old horror trailers, they gave away all the secrets and stuff. If you look at the Scream trailers, they don't give away anything because that's part of the brand. They keep their secrets until you get to the theater. You look at all the trailers, they show you nothing. It's characters reacting. It's maybe a shot of Ghostface, but they keep all the kills and the final shots in the theater, so you're surprised. They don't have to give you all the kills in the trailer. No shade again to a particular movie. But I really feel like they're doing a great job with promoting this new one and keeping the secrets and keeping us guessing. And I'm just hoping it's a good film. But the Ready or Not guys, I can go on and on about this, but I'll.
Yes.
The Ready or Not guys, I love Ready or Not, and I think I have faith that they'll bring the Wes Craven edge to it. The score so far sounds really dark, so I don't know. I'm curious. I'm interested to see what the movie is going to be like, and that's my top 10.
That's a great list. I would have put Morbius and maybe even Doctor Strange on my list when I get to it.
Mm-hmm.
But we just did Heroes and Droids, so we have a most anticipated pop culture one. So those went on that list, along with Jurassic World. So those got pulled off. But Morbius is a great supernatural character, and I'm excited to see MCU. Both Sony and the Marvel Studios MCU go toward more supernatural characters, like Morbius and Blade. and Moon Knight and hopefully Werewolf by Night and some others. So it's going to be an exciting year for that. I like that.
Do we know the rating for Morbius yet, or no? Is it PG-13 or R?
I think it's PG-13.
It should be R.
It should.
The new Blade film should be R, but
Yeah, but we'll see. They may not do that either. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell with Marvel doing that. So, Christopher, anything?
You know what? I've never seen the first Terrifier film, mainly because I'd heard about it, and I'm not big into films that are very torture-y for the sake of, or torture porn, I guess. This year, my plan is to watch a lot of films that I have opinions on that I haven't seen, so that I can actually, if I watch it, I can say, yeah, I don't like this film.
Right.
There's a few Rob Zombie films I plan on watching this year, so that I can have a more informed opinion, just to say that I know I've seen it, as opposed to just having an opinion of it and not watch it because I know about it. So, so I mean, I've heard he's supposed to go big and crazy with Terrifier 2, so that's kind of interesting, but I don't know. I think I mentioned this on the other podcast, but I'm not a big fan of the last Jurassic Park film,
Yep,
and
yep,
I
yep.
don't have that high confidence in those. That's the film that had a lot of stupid characters for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess, maybe they'll have cool stuff again, but I don't know. I think they've never really. I mean, they do have a lot of the, as you mentioned, legacy characters of
I
Scream.
want to see
They
them
have
together.
legacy characters back, and it's not just a person in a courtroom
Right.
for 5 minutes. So maybe that might bring the magic back, but I don't think they've ever been able to bring the magic back to the original Jurassic Park films. And I was a big fan of the second one as well. Let's see what else. Salem's Lot. I'm interested to see what they bring to it. I forgot to mention previously that I'm interested to see if they'll have the little boy floating.
Oh my
outside
God, the window
think-
scene, right?
Yeah,
Is that-
they're probably going to do a lot of callbacks to the things that we know about it, and then they're just probably just going to go full it on it. I think
'Cause,
that's.
I mean,
That's a movie and that's a movie I'll watch in 4DX as well as Scream.
Oh, nice.
well,
nice.
the scene with the
40X.
brother at the window is one of the creep. I mean, as a kid, that scared me, and I have a younger brother, and I was like, if you ever show up at my window, I'm gonna punch you in the nuts.
That's perfect.
But my film Disengaged actually has a scene that like is a callback to that. There's a nightmare sequence that is a guy at the window,
Yeah.
and I was mainly my homage to that. So I think it'll be interesting to see if they can bring the scares. Because I agree, it's like I want to see scary vampires again. I mean, we've seen a little bit of that in some films recently. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they're able to bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, the cast, how they end up. We've got Spencer Treat Clark as Mike Reardon, right? Ryerson. We got Pilot Asbeck, if you recognize him from maybe what am I saying? I totally brain farted all of a sudden. Help me out. What is he from? Derp, 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 derp.
I didn't recognize a lot of the names.
Derp, derp. Game of Thrones. He was from Game of Thrones. He's going to be Richard Straker. Lewis Pullman's going to be Ben Mears. That might be a familiar name for some of you. William Sadler's in it. I think, is William Sadler going to be the vampire?
They didn't say, but it's possible. They said he might be an antagonist. So if they already have their Straker, then I guess he's maybe Barlow.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, it'll be interesting to see how they design, the main vampire or whatever. So
whether or not he's going to have the Nosferatu fangs.
The second, I don't know if it's a spoiler. It's in the book, but I mean the character is not a Nosferatu in the book. He's sort of like, they did a second remake with Rob Lowe and Rutger Hauer, and Rutger Hauer is more like a sort of a man about town dandy sort of vampire who does like vicious things to characters, but he talks and he's sort of persuasive and devilish and that sort of thing. Toby Hooper's was just pure, raising from the dirt nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can ever top that. I think it's
That's
better
true.
without the dialogue. I think he's just a pure jump scare nightmare machine.
Yeah, and it works. It works.
So I'm hoping maybe they'll fuse the two together.
I guess we'll see.
We'll find out. Hopefully this year. All right, my list. All right, number 10 on mine is Terrifier 2. Terrifier 1 surprised me. How I wasn't really looking forward to it. I hadn't seen the short, and the character seemed kind of the clown character seemed kind of hokey, but the actor that plays Brian, you might be able to help me out with that. He brings such a whimsical menace to that character that I fell in love with it, and of course it has one of a very shocking gore scene in the middle of it that I think most people remember. So it's immediately I'm looking forward to see what they do, especially if they're ramping it up. So there you go, number 10. Number 9 is Studio 666. Okay, this is probably going to be the one I regret putting on my list, but the trailer got me when oh my God, when the character played by Dave Grohl is flying across the background, just sliding across. And it's like, okay, I'm in. I want to see this. I don't know. It's kind of one of these. I don't know. Every year I do something stupid like that. So that's my stupid one. All right. At number 8 is Halloween Ends. It would have been higher if Halloween Kills was better. And we've already all talked about it, so I'm going to leave it there. Number 7 is Salem's Lot. We've talked about that quite a bit. The only thing I'll add to that is the director, Gary Doberman. He directed Annabelle Comes Home, which story-wise you could debate, but as far as his directing, it was obviously a student of James Wan, as they were a team together for a bit. And I'm excited to see what he brings to it. I think he can mature into a really strong genre director. So I have hopes there. At number 6 is Prey, the Predator movie we got coming out this year. Dan Trachtenberg is going to direct it, or is directing it, or has directed it. And I'm looking forward to see what it is. It's also, isn't it supposed to be kind of in the West or in the past, right?
It's in the past. It's it's like a Native American tribes. So.
Right. And of course, the director did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was actually quite surprisingly good for that film. We really didn't know anything about it, and he really handled that material. So I'm excited. I've been waiting for him to direct another movie. He's been doing a lot of TV shows, but his movies have always kind of not made it past production, or pre-production. So I'm excited to see another film from him. At number 5 is Wyrmwood Apocolypse from Down Under. I love the Wyrmwood film, and Wyrmwood Apocolypse looks to just ramp it up, and I'm sold immediately. I don't even have to think about it. Just like put me in. I'm in line. I want to see it. I can't wait. It's really fun and zany, and yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen the Wyrmwood film, but it's chaotic and blast. Number 4, we'll find out if this is worth 4 this week, is Scream 2022. Scream, unfortunately, Brian, is not one of my favorite franchises. I do like the first one. And I've watched all the rest, and but I've never been a fan of the character, the Ghostface character. But I am a fan of the directors, all the way from VHS 1 and through their latest film, and now into this. I'm really excited to see what they bring to it. It might be the thing that the franchise needs for me personally. Mm-hmm. Their style. And we've gotten, what is it, Remember Berries or whatever the heck we call it. It's really got that legacy feel to it, and that's been, you can complain about it or you can be excited for it. And I don't know, they've been hitting it a lot lately. It's interesting that we have all these films that are bringing the franchises back, but not just calling them the same name, like Scream and Halloween, and it's, and yet they're legacy ones. It's such a strange time we live in. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Black Phone at number 3 looks to be incredible from the trailers and from the reaction that we got when it played last year at a film festival somewhere. I can't remember where, and it got a lot of very positive accolades from down there. So really looking forward to it. And it's also an original story for cinema, right? It's based on a book, but it's original. It's not, how many of the films on this are sequels or something? It was quite a few, right? So which leads to the next one, Nope, which is also original. So yes, I'm very excited for Nope. If I knew more about it, I would probably put it at number 1. It's just that all we know is who's directing it, Jordan Peele, and that it had a couple of the actors, and that it has a cloud with some kite tail floating out of it. I don't know what the hell. But the whole thing about Nope that you were talking about, Brian, is exactly Nope. So I can't wait. His previous 2 films were fantastic, and I'm all about it. And at number 1, Christopher would be very proud of me, is Evil Dead Rise. I love the concept. I love the idea that we're bringing it back. I love that as much as I love Ash, and I would see any movie if they brought, Ash back. I like that they're willing to expand the franchise, the idea, the world, and do some world building and bring the Deadites back in there. Be interesting to see how that is. It'll be interesting to see if the Evil Dead from 2014, is that right? If any character or characters make it from that film into this. I haven't heard one way or the other, but be right there. What was that noise? That was awesome.
Traffic outside my window.
It's awesome.
It's closed too.
So I'm looking forward for all the same reasons Christopher G. Moore is. I love the idea and the concept as soon as I heard it, and I'm excited to see what they do. And I have faith in Sam Raimi as a producer doing it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Thoughts?
I'm a fan of the Wyrmwood films, so I'm interested to see what they bring to that. It has that sort of fun action comedy aspects to it, so it feels a little bit almost Edgar Wright-ish to some degree. They have a lot of kinetic stuff involving the camera and a lot of crazy gore and stuff. So I'm interested in seeing that.
Or early Peter Jackson.
Well, true. Yeah, it's actually probably more like Dead Alive, I guess, than Edgar Wright, I would say.
Yeah, I think we showed a Wyrmwood. I don't know if it was I think it was pretty sure it was a short at New York City Horror. So I'm wondering if that was a concept film for if this is going to be a feature or if they did a feature and then this is a sequel. I hadn't really kept track on the films, but we definitely showed. I think we definitely screened it.
Yeah, I think they made a short to kind of get some backing.
I guess
on
it was
this.
like a proof of concept, right?
Yeah, because Wyrmwood was a film earlier, but then they did a follow. If it had the zombie, if there was a zombie girl as a lead, it's the one in between.
Okay. She becomes like sort of telekinetic with them or something like that.
Yeah. So
that was telepathic, and that was actually pretty cool. So yeah, we were happy to show that.
So that was at the very end of the first Wyrmwood, spoilers, and then of course. But
so cool concept and just crazy direction and effects and everything. It was really, really fun. So.
Any love or hate for Studio 666?
I haven't seen the trailer yet. I've heard about it, but I'll check it out after this.
Oh, look at that! Look at that face on Christopher G. Moore.
It looks like one of those Scooby-Doo episodes where they have a music group shows up. That's what it feels like.
That's what it sounds like, though. That could be.
Well, it does, but live action doesn't necessarily work as well.
Yeah.
It's like Scooby-Doo meets Kiss or something. It has that weird sort of goofy weirdness about it. I mean, I'm intrigued by the concept. Because I think sometimes you have musicians or you have artists that like, I want to create something or you have like a popular character and like Ernest or something, and they throw them into this specific genre.
Yeah.
Like Ernest Scared Stupid or something, so it feels like one of those sort of 80s things where we're going to take this group and throw them into that, but it's live action. So I don't know. I'm intrigued by it. But
I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Harold and Kumar like Meet Frankenstein.
Oh my God! Stop! That would be awesome.
I watched their films and I was like, I would love to write the horror version of this.
Oh my God! Do that, please.
They disbanded. They split up, and now they're old men, and now they.
Well, I think I heard that. I think I don't know if it was a Friday 13th film, but there was like some slasher film. I think they wanted Cheech and Chong to be part of. I was like.
Cheech and Chong now or back then?
No, I think back then. I think they tried to.
I wonder if it was part 3 since you have the two stoners in the back in that film.
I don't know. Maybe I heard about that. I was like, I'm kind of intrigued, but I think it was there's a podcast called the best movies never made or whatever.
Yeah.
And they went through different concept that they tried to write scripts for, ideas for, and I think that was one of those. And I was like, I kind of wish we'd gotten that, because we don't have any of those. We don't have any of those sort of like old school, where the horror characters are straight, but then you have like these comedic characters that go into that kind of scenario. So
Yeah.
No, not unless it's on, like some kiddie channel. Not serious enough to put it in the theater. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm surprised. I don't know if they're just not working together anymore, but like, I'm surprised that we haven't had like a Key and Peele. Maybe that's waiting in the wings. Or
they're both too successful going in their own directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Key and Peele meet Blackula or something.
Oh my God! Now they are. Didn't they say they were making?
There are no bad ideas ananymore.
No.
Well, you'd think they'd have the clout to be able to do something like that. Although, but then you have, what was it, Medea's Boo or whatever?
No, stop. Boo too.
No,
there's a Boo too as well, right?
Yeah. No, I missed those. I
you missed them.
I think I was doing laundry or something.
Not by accident, right? Here's some honorable mentions for me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was on the list until I decided to be stupid and put Studio 666. But I don't know. It's just, I want it to be good, but I don't have confidence, because how many times have they not been good, right?
Right.
Maybe this is the time. I don't know. I'm still eager to see it, regardless. Unwelcome is another weird one that I'm looking forward to. Hellraiser, Insidious, Dark Harvest, and there's one called La Abuela, or the grandmother, from the guys behind Wreck Films, and very much looking forward to that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And there's another one called Violent Night, which is directed by, it stars Dave Harbour, but it's directed by Tommy Wirkola, who directed the Red Snow films.
Ooh,
and then went on to do, I don't know, a bunch of crazy American films that didn't do as well. But
is it set on Christmas? Is that
yeah, it's a holiday thriller that says you always should bet on red. I don't know anything about it. It's just based on Tommy Wirkola, and Dave Harbour doesn't hurt either. So that's kind of like, I've got my eyes looking that way and waiting for more. We'll learn more as the year goes on. You guys have any near misses here?
When does What We Do in the Shadows come back, or is it coming back, or is it this year? Or I feel like there's a void in my life.
Well, I think they already filmed the next season.
They've already filmed the next season, yeah.
Yeah, TV is another thing. There's all kinds of crazy horror on TV.
Yeah, Stranger Things would have been on my list.
Yeah,
Stranger Things included TV. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably my off list. I'm not really sure what to think about it. But I don't know. There's a movie called Hatching that I've heard about. It's supposed to be, I think it was supposed to have like a Sundance premiere. But it's acquired by IFC Midnight, which is a really interesting concept about this little girl who finds like a strange egg and keeps it warm until it hatches. And it goes crazy.
Like a bad idea, right?
Yeah, you should know by now.
Nope.
That's nope right there. Yeah.
I'm the monsters. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, you had me for a hot second.
No, I wouldn't. That's not going to be on my list. Looking through some of the, I mean, there's one that's Sam Raimi's affiliated with called 65.
I've heard about that one.
That I'm just, but his affiliation, I'm kind of intrigued by, because it's got like Adam Driver in it. So sort of a sci-fi thriller. So
is it set in 65 or?
I don't know. Well, they haven't released any details about it, but
that's becoming an annoying.
But it's
an annoying trend. We don't have.
Yeah, but it's Sam Raimi's working with the writers behind A Quiet Place, so maybe they might have an interesting. Maybe it's the smelly place. No,
it's like every article now on movies of like details are under wraps. Well, what are you writing about it for? I want to know about it.
Tease.
I know exactly. Yeah,
Ron-
I can't see anything beyond Scream. Like I want to see Dope and all those other films, but Scream has to happen this week. And
It does.
you know, and it's a holiday weekend, which is also nice to find out.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, of course, Morbius was supposed to come out at the end of this month, and they pushed it back to April 1st, which felt like a joke.
Yeah.
I know Bloody Disgusting had the Haunted Mansion listed as to be determined, so but I don't know if that's even being done.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of these productions are having to stop due to COVID outbreaks and stuff. So I'm sure some of these things, even if they're in the process of filming it, may get pushed.
Wow.
If they can't get everything filmed in time for the, whatever date comes out. Because I know they were working on that Spider-Man film up until like when it got released.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
The worst kept secrets ever. But
I didn't know.
Worked wonders. All right, well there you go. That's our most anticipated horror films for 2022 as it stands in January. We'll check back in mid-year to see what's been announced since then, and do what we're looking forward in the second half of the year. I'm sure we have a lot of things coming our way that we don't know about yet, or things that'll get solidified that we're kind of thinking about but not ready to to put in writing. And it'll be exciting to see how many of these make it to our top 10 list of the end of the year. Historically, for me, not many. To put that out there, I'm usually really bad at this. I'm optimistic, looking forward to just about everything that's coming out.
Cool.
Well, yeah, you're more optimistic about movies than some of us.
No. That movie's got a title. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, because there's a Paranormal Activity movie that may or may not be coming out. I'm looking forward to that. There's all kinds of these films that we hear rumors about, and hopefully we will see them. I think it's going to be a great year.
Or they just go to streaming like some of these films.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Netflix just every month surprises us with something. Maybe not genre, but there's always something new coming our way, and they've got some really interesting things lined up, for this coming year. So I wouldn't be surprised. They had, I think some of my top 10 were on Netflix. So
Netflix always gets crapped on because I think that's because they put so much stuff out there. It's easily just to focus on the negative stuff. But look, if you look at it, I mean, they've released all kinds of stuff from different countries. There's a lot of horror stuff that isn't primarily American. That's, it's got some good stuff in it. So
I think a lot of the earlier genre stuff wasn't so great, but now they're starting to sort of improve.
Mm-hmm.
And getting a little more like it was becoming a trend with every Netflix horror film to have like a really like shitty ending, to the point where I was like, I'm never watching this again. I'm never watching these films again. Yeah, it was like I went at least 3 Netflix movies, horror films that I was like, did they run out of money? Did they just not read the scripts, or where it was going? I was just like, I started getting a little agitated.
Well, I guess that's always the problem, being able to stick the landing for how your story ends,
Yeah, it is, especially with certain filmmakers.
A lot of times you have these great concepts, but you have to figure out like how is this going to play out by the end of it, with the characters and everything. So
yeah, and there's a couple films that we didn't mention, like Jeepers Creepers Reborn is kind of hard to mention given its history, but yet
I
don't think the monster is involved, but it's so tainted that I just shrug it off whenever I see it.
I thought that's been my. I'm one of those people that usually if it's a little bit tainted, I may not deal with it because I always think the art is great, but something about just his. Yeah, that affiliation just bothers me.
From him, and there's so much of him in his movies. If you watch them,
especially that second one.
Is all text in most.
Watch the second one with that in mind, and you get
the second one. Yeah, it's like god,
licking the bus and all that. It's there.
Yeah, and of course, for some audiences, some of the members listening, Hocus Pocus 2 is probably on their list.
Which I've
not
seen,
on mine, but
well, I've actually been kind of intrigued. There's a lot of these people that are because I think they've been shooting parts of it in Salem or whatever, and there's all these people that are on TikToks are showing behind the scenes of them singing, and I think this might be a spoiler, but I think was it Jessica? What is her name?
Parker.
Yeah, she's got a Swiffer instead of a broom. Just seeing that alone made me laugh. So I'm actually kind of just see it just because of that bit, because I'm sure they'll have like a little funny bits like that. I mean, it's goofy stuff where they sing, different songs and stuff. I mean, it's become a Halloween film that people watch every year. It's a mainstay for some people.
Very, very incredibly popular. Of course, I think it's going. I don't know if it's going to theaters or just Disney Plus, but either way, I think it'll be a huge hit.
I thought it was just Disney Plus. That's what
I think so.
Disney Plus, yeah.
But it still will be a huge hit.
Oh, I think families will want to watch it together.
Cool. They got them all back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go, Christopher, Brian. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so happy you're here. Brian, you're going to join us next week for Scream, right?
Yes. I'm hoping I can get to see it if it's not completely sold out. I want to see the 40X version, but yeah, I'm slated to come talk about it and maybe rant about it. No, I will keep the secrets. If I
well, we might do spoilers, but I definitely want to hear about the 40X experience. That's fascinating.
I think I have to. Yeah, I think I have to do 40X.
I haven't done.
At least at least God forbid, if anyone is like a killer with a Scream mask, the seats will knock them out. Maybe, hopefully, but
nice.
Attack anyone.
Yeah, I'm going to one at the Alamo, and there's a live Q&A right after. So.
Oh, really?
I'm hoping I can get some interesting information.
I'm just going to AMC.
I mean, it's a whole holiday weekend, so you have plenty of chances to see it. And
I got my tickets. I like going on Thursdays, man. I like going on Thursdays.
Well, I don't want to be spoiled. I'm thinking as early as possible, like I did Spider-Man. I'd see it the earliest screening.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.